Okay, well, thank you very much, Paul and Anna, for inviting me. It's a serious privilege to address this group. So, as I say, thank you very much. Now, um, as you said, my latest book, or the latest thing I've been working on, has to do with AI and practical digital marketing and psychology. My background is, as you said, in copywriting, but also I have been involved with psychotherapy stuff of studying that and general psychology as well. And I've always been, as a writer, because I started off as a writer, I've always been really interested in the psychology of why people trust or indeed why they distrust and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to AI, as you two know, and I tell everyone else now, I do a lot of talks on AI here and overseas, thanks to the wonders of Zoom here. And the number one question I get asked in every single talk, yeah, is Paul, what do you think the number one question is I'm going to get asked? I don't want to say it, I want you to kind of guess it. What do you think the number one question is I'm asked on AI?
Is
Me
it
and
is it
make
going
my
to take my
job.
job?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you got it. I
There
think that
we
was
go.
Tom. Tom gets the golden star. You're right. That's it. It is. I didn't want to say it, but because yeah, it is. It's will it take my job? And so this idea of trusting AI, it goes back to primal times when we were looking out from our caves, I suppose, and seeing a bear coming, and we noticed that the other week the bear mauled someone, and so we're thinking, okay, is it going to take our job or not? So I think this idea about will it take our job and brand trust and stuff like that isn't anything new. In terms of technology, we've always had technology that has pushed us forward, whether it's going to be the printing press, or even a humble pen or whatever it might be. It has pushed us forward. And of course, what AI is a tool, but it's not like any other tool because it has the ability to spot patterns and then from those patterns come up with original thinking, if you wish, based on the data that it has been given. Whereas the other tools that we have been exposed to, throughout history, have been rather passive, if you wish. So I think it also goes back to our general view of trust. According to a recent poll, they were saying that it was the Edelman Trust Barometer, actually. It says on that one that we are, as advertising stroke marketing people, one of the most distrusted professions out there because people think that we are trying to sell them stuff. Now, when you put that together with what Tom said, which was, well, this thing's going to take my job, it's not exactly the greatest start that we can get off to. So, what are we going to do to actually get this trust back? I think it goes to what I call the three pillars of trust, which is number one is demonstrate competence, that what you are going to be offering people through AI is going to be reliable and it's going to actually deliver on promises. And that's a very basic premise when it comes to trust. The next thing is to do with integrity, and that is about being ethical and transparent. For example, Google explains how or why it came up with an answer for whatever it might be. Those kind of things are important so that people can see they are allowed to, if you wish, just peer behind that curtain and see what's going on in terms of the Wizard of Oz, that it's a guy who is Oz, yeah, who is the wizard rather. Benevolence, which is genuine care for customers now and consumers. And how are you going to do that? Well, with predictive analytics and stuff like that, we know that AI can, give us a good clue as to what people are going to want and stuff like that. But to do that, that means really understanding people. showing the care by taking them stage by stage by stage. It also means, I think, that AI, it from delivering services or brand experiences as such, I think that AI also needs to integrate the human touch. So that, for example, if you're going to have an AI-driven bot, yeah, who's going to be answering consumer questions about, I don't know, makeup or what to buy from Amazon or whatever it might be, that there is that option, that golden ticket moment when you can press the button and say, actually, I'd like to speak to someone. So I don't think it's about, at this stage, for sure, it's about cutting off the human side of the whole thing. I think it's about working with the human side. So we're talking about hyper personalization that is going to help people achieve what they need to achieve faster. I think that's a good way of looking at it. But on the other hand, with hyper personalization comes the idea of intrusive personalization, where people feel that, well, you've got too much on me. Yeah. And again, that goes back to my three pillars in terms of transparency. So I think, how can we build trust in terms of AI? I think number one is about what I call explainable AI, which is given clear explanations about how it works, about decisions that are being made, and things like that. As I said, I mentioned before the idea about Google's About This Result, which explains search result placements. Ethical data stewardship, absolutely essential today, which is going beyond, if you wish, uh, just standard practices to assure people that, the data it's got on them is safe, it's secure, and so on and so forth. The next one is authentic social proof, which is highlighting credible reviews and endorsements, because people might start thinking, well, this is just generated by AI. So it's a bit like I was noticing an advert the other day from, I think it was Marks and Spencer. Anyway, it was just saying that all the milk from Marks and Spencer is 100% traceable. And this idea about it's 100% traceable, yeah, genuine, transparent. You want to know where it's coming from? We'll tell you. There is nothing up our sleeves. I think that is really important. The other thing about AI in terms of transparency and trust is it goes back again to this idea of, is this thing going to take my job? From a recent story that came out to do with AI, to do with Coca-Cola. Now, I don't know if you are au fait with what happened with Coca-Cola. No, but I will, let me tell you anyway. So what happened with Coca-Cola is that, as you know, every year well, I have waited for that familiar jingle of the holidays are coming, yeah, and then seeing the red truck and all the rest of it, and maybe the polar bear, the usual, the characters we know in terms of the of Christmas. And of course, and I know that Coca-Cola, but that's a different talk altogether, actually created Santa Claus in terms of the red and the white. But we're not going to get into that for today. But in terms of what happened recently, is that people looked at or watched the commercial, which Coca-Cola proudly said, this is interesting, they proudly said that this commercial ad, yeah, made with AI, completely made with AI. Now, when you think about that, so they're saying this commercial has been made with artificial intelligence, but we as a brand are the real thing. So someone somewhere didn't quite think this through. And so what happened there is that you get this conflict, yeah, in terms of what does the brand mean and what is it that you are delivering with AI. And I think that is a lesson that I think we can learn from this Coca-Cola mess up, yeah, is that how do we use AI not just to be efficient, but to reflect the truth to reflect the meaning, to reflect the value that is our brand. And quite clearly, it wasn't thought of in that kind of a way. Now, you may say to me, if I was to give this talk or this little chat together, we were to have it again in 5 years' time, it may get to the point that we are so used to AI in our lives that from a branding point of view, whether the thing was made by AI or whether it was not made by AI is quite frankly irrelevant because it would be as stupid as worrying that you produced a document on Word, or that you use Photoshop at some point to improve a photograph, whereas we know that that is just part of life, and indeed it's going to become increasingly part of life. So what I'm saying is that we need to, when it comes to AI, not just look at it as being something that is going to be efficient, but something that is actually going to be productive from the point of view of, well, first of all, from an agency point of view and from a marketing point of view, helping us produce more interesting work, but not about doing it faster, but by doing it more intelligently. And what I do worry about with AI, and I'm very, here you are, I'm being transparent myself about this sort of idea. What I do worry about with AI is that people who don't have the right type of, let's take, for example, um, video makers or copywriters or whatever. Okay. So what I worry about is that you're going to get copywriters or the bosses or the clients of copywriters who are going to say, hey, this AI lark, yeah, apparently, you can push out stuff much faster. And as we're in the numbers game, let's just push this stuff out like a sausage machine. Yeah. And well, I think that what you will get, yeah, and I teach prompt engineering to people, and what I've seen, so, that they show me, is basically bland flock wallpaper. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's wallpaper. It's all right, but it's basically wallpaper. There's nothing interesting in it because what people are doing is that they're going onto LinkedIn or they're going to Instagram or TikTok or wherever they're getting this information from. And some guy has said 5 amazing prompts that's going to change your life or whatever it might be. Yeah. And then they're putting in the prompt and it's pushing out a lot of crap. Yeah. Now, what I worry about on a very serious level is that as marketers, especially this group who are, exceptionally responsible marketers, as marketers, we're destroying our own credibility because all we're doing is just churning out stuff. So what I say when it comes to the creative aspect of protecting our brand equity with I say rather than think about it in a way to go faster, I think go slower. Actually go slower. Yeah. Remember that AI, and I'm not going to give a talk today on this, but I just touch upon it in terms of how AI works. Yeah, how it actually processes information, how it, if you wish, thinks. What it's doing in the end of the day is it's looking at patterns. Okay, it's looking at patterns in terms of words, sentences, and so on and so forth. So, in other words, it's all based on the depth and the quality of the data lake that it is dipping into and having a swim around. Okay, so if that lake is is sullied, if that lake is polluted, yeah, if that lake isn't clear, then what happens is that it's just going to bring back gunk. Now, the way that AI works is that it takes the average answer of something or the most popular answer of something. So therefore, if you're just going to say to I want you to produce a whatever it is, a blog about bottled water or whatever it might be, it will take the most standard answers. That's why it often stereotypes people and stereotypes products and so on and so forth. So what I teach people to do is actually to go back to, as copywriters, to go back to your own skills. You write the advert, This seriously, you write the advert in the way that you were taught as a copywriter to write adverts in terms of syntax, in terms of meaning and understanding. Then use that as the data lake for it to dive into and take it from there rather than the other way round. So I think that's one of the ways that you can protect your brand equity. But looking ahead, one of the other you mentioned Rory. One of the things that Rory spoke to me about, and I'd like to share with you if I may, is looking ahead at the future of marketing itself. Yeah. But what I've done is I've taken what Roy was chatting about, but tried to incorporate AI into it. So as a marketer, I've spent decades looking at creative briefs, yeah, looking at profiling audiences, and coming up with, if you wish, an identity kit of who it is that we're talking to, and so on and so forth. And the stuff that you and I have been, we've always done. So in other words, it's all about me, yeah, finding out about you and then saying to you, okay, and here it is, yeah, whatever the product is or the service may be. I think in the near future, what is going to happen is something very, very different. You see, there is a program, I'd like you to check it out, by the way. There's a program that you can get on your phone. Yeah. Oh, it's very simple, by the way. Nothing very heavy about this, I'm afraid. So don't get too excited, but it is a lot of fun. And it's called Pi. Okay. And what you can do with Pi, you put it. I've got an iPhone, so you can put Pi on your iPhone and you talk to it. And what happens is that the more you talk to Pi, yeah, the more it gets to know who you are. So after 3 months of talking to Pi, it would know your neuroses, it would know absolutely everything about you. And you can say to Pi, for example, hey, Pi, tell me a bedtime story about based on what's happened to me in the last 3 months. And it would come up with the most groovy, fun bedtime story that you ever heard of. Okay, what's this got to do with what Rory says and and how I've adapted what he has said? So what I think is going to happen is that AI is going to learn so much about us individually with our permission, of course, but it's going to learn so much about us individually that what it would do is that it will go to the brand and it will say to the brand, I am looking for you, rather than brand saying that it is looking for them. Does that make sense? So what happens is that your AI, let's call it a bot, okay? So your AI bot, primed with everything that it knows about you, will go out searching for them. So the marketer's role is now upside down, completely reversed. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's no longer about us trying to understand the consumer. It's about the consumer based on the knowledge that it has about us. So the consumer, the bot representing us, goes out to find them. And that is where I think that marketing is going. A completely different way of looking at understanding consumers, understanding brands, and so on and so forth. Whichever way it does it, and whichever way it goes, because I'm not, I'm not a soothsayer. I don't know completely what's going to happen, right? But all I can say is that if we look at the last week alone, yeah, with OpenAI announcing, and they will announce again in about a couple of hours' time another thing. I don't know what it's going to be, but we'll know in a couple of hours' time. But announcing further enhancements to ChatGPT and so on and so forth. I think by this time next year, these things that may sound quite science fiction, yeah, are just going to be part of life. And with the tool, it's not, it goes back to, if you wish, there was a couple of years ago, there was a big thing that went on in London, which is about knives. Yeah. which is about knives. And so everyone was saying, let's ban that knife, let's ban this knife, and whatever knife it's going to be. Well, at one you can't. You just can't because you're gonna have to ban a kitchen knife. Okay. It's not about the tool, it's about how you wield the tool. Yeah. That is what we're going to have to go back to, and that is going to take common sense, human intellect, human common sense, human gut feeling, and so on and so forth. And that is why ultimately it's not about AI taking our job. It's about us working with the tool to our benefit. And if it doesn't work, to hell with it, get a better tool because we are going to still be in charge. That's my overall chat. Thank you.